anything, please reach out to us. Abdurrahman, anyone here, we can direct you where to put your donation. Thank you.
Someone said a suggestion. Okay, so one of them back there suggested if you guys are like too nervous to ask your question, you can pass out a piece of paper, you guys can write it down. Is that something you guys want to do? You want to ask your questions? You had a question there.
Okay, what's the most challenging thing about being a Muslim in America?
Anyone? Go ahead.
This is a big question. It requires an assertion by itself. So a lot of the challenges face the Muslim school live here, and I'm a father, so I think we're going to talk about this one that is related to our kids. When our kids are minors and they go to public school, they meet with friends from other religions, and they feel that they are different. And many people, especially in America here, many people, they respect this diverse, but we have also minority who do not respect this diverse. So this is the biggest challenge that we have with our kids, that sometimes they feel that they do not live naturally in this country, because even if they were born here, they still feel that they are a minority. And the feeling of minority is everywhere, that they don't feel that they have the full rights. Sometimes some people, they bully them. This happens with some of our kids. But I lived in different parts of the United States. The small cities is much better. The bigger places, they have a lot of misbehavior. But I lived in Blacksburg, Virginia, and at that time, we don't have that much complaints or many complaints, because the community were like have a solid relation with the other members of the other religions. But when I went to San Diego, it was different. So this is one of the basic challenges. But as parents, we participate in the boards of the schools and the public schools. So we are trying to overcome such types of issues that face our communities. This is the part that related to me as a father. But for sure, the college students, they have their own challenges as people who come here, and we do not, and we have accent, especially the imams, and we talk to the community members, and also talk to the Muslims in the churches and in the synagogue. Different culture that takes a lot of time to accommodate ourselves to live with a community like this, but the best thing that life here in the United States is easy, so we get familiar with it that fast, and it doesn't take much time. I remember one time, I found a paper outside in the hallway that they are going to exterminate the apartment. And for me, I know extermination means to demolish, to destroy. So I said, what's going to happen? Are they going to demolish the building? So where I'm going to go? So I called the rental place and said to them, are you going to exterminate the apartment? He says, yes. Where am I going to go? He says, no, don't worry. We are just getting rid of the bugs. This is the word exterminate. So these are just some challenges, but as Muslim community, we care a lot for our kids, that some of them suffer from being minority. This is the point of the question.
I asked Dr. Samek from the College of Engineering to give a female answer, a female perspective on this question, because like he said, it's a whole lecture. So let's hear what she has to say.
Hello everybody, my name is Samantha. Okay, is that better?
Better.
Okay, I'm an associate professor at Imam Technology at MSU, and we're really glad to have you today. It's a very challenging, I'm sorry. It's still a very challenging question. I was really nervous because when you're a student, it's different with when you're a faculty. I was not sure if, I look different. I'm wearing something different. I was not sure what people were going to say about me, how my students are going to react with me. And I was very surprised that here, first I was in Blacksburg, Virginia, and then I went to Las Cruces Middle School, and to my surprise, it's a very nice community. I mean, I haven't really heard anything insulting about me being different. I think the main challenge is just to be yourself. You don't have to look like others. I mean, we're all different in many aspects, and that's fine. If you're just blending into the society, it's okay to be different. And I found that it's a very good community here because people understand that. They don't really treat you based on, oh, she's different. So I was nervous at the very beginning, but I feel very good right now. We're very good friends, and I hope the same thing is going to happen to my kids as well. So I don't want to make it long, so.
To answer your question regarding difficulty, what is the biggest challenges that we as Muslims face? So, it's the ideology, okay? I want to tell you that, to be honest, I came from India, alright? So, people don't realize that in India, when people talk about India, they say, okay, it's a land of Hindus, okay? But they don't realize that we are the second largest Muslim community in the world, okay? So, when you are in Muslim countries, and when you come here, the biggest challenge is the ideology. You know, when you're around the Muslim people, you have a certain mindset. But I want to see first, I want to talk about the good things when you come to America. It opens your mindset. You see people of different cultural backgrounds, okay? Like, that's a blessing actually. You know, you see like Asians, you see like, you know, Europeans, you see, so like you come to know about various cultures, how you blend in, okay? And it opens your horizon, the way you approach things. Now, challenges. Because challenges are created, I feel, by the media, okay? Because when we are born, you know, we don't have, you know, we don't know what is good, we don't know what is bad. We are being taught with media. You know, this is not acceptable, this is acceptable, you know. And as you grow, you see that as Muslims, you know, our cultural belief is we need to follow Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We need to follow his teaching, we need to follow his scriptures, okay? And for us, you know, sticking to that is very, very important. And there comes the challenge, okay? We are in a place where there is a lot of things that kind of contradicts to what the teachings, what we've been taught, and we have to walk a very tight rope, okay? So that is the challenge that we tend to have in this society, okay? For example, like how men interact with women, okay? Like, as a man, you know, this is the best thing that, you know, when we are supposed to talk, we need to look down, you know, we're not supposed to make, like, you know, as a form of respect. If somebody might get offended, you know, why is they not looking into my eye and talking? Because that's how we are trained, right? Like, how you guys are taught. Like, it's a sign of confidence. You know, when you talk to somebody, looking into their eyes and talking. But for us, as a cultural thing, they said, not to look into the eyes. It's a form of disrespect. And you're like, this guy is not confident. So, these are certain things that is a challenge for the Muslims. How can we break this challenge? If we tend to understand what Muslim values are, you can be more accommodating. Oh, this is just culture. You know, for example, as a part of my culture, when I'm with my patients, especially my ladies' patients, I tell them, you know, I do not shake hands with ladies. It's a part of my culture. I usually greet them like this. Okay? Because it's a cultural thing, you know. So, when you tell them, a lot of problem that we face is communication. We are not able to communicate that, you know what, this is my cultural preference, and instead we are saying we can't do it. And the other person is like, what is this? what's happening? This guy is not friendly. But if, we tell them, this is my cultural preference, this is how we are trained, I personally believe that people here, okay, are very, very accommodating. Okay, that's the beauty of America. When you tell them, they respect your culture, they respect your values, okay. I feel the biggest challenge is, number one, communication and not knowing the cultural things. That is the biggest challenge that we have. So if every individual, tends to know what is best for Muslims, what they are taught, we are like, oh, you know what, men have beard. It's like that's their culture. Okay, not wrong. Women wear the scarf. That is their culture. Women are not comfortable with men in the same room, okay, or shaking hands because it's their culture. So if we get to know these cultural differences, I think it's going to be so easy for all of us. I hope I was able to answer your question. Is there any other questions?
I'm sure that TDs now will not ask questions because they ask a question for seconds.
Well, actually,
and we answer it in 15
more people have wanted to answer your question. I think everyone has a lot to say about this, but my sister, an MSU biology senior, wants to add something, and then another MSU student wants to add something. So I think that would be an interesting perspective. Okay, you want to discuss something come back to that? Okay, go ahead and ask your question.
So this is more or less about the architecture. So can I ask a question about the green portrait over there?
Ahmed, the director of everything. Ahmed here is the foundation of our laws.
Yeah, can you just ask about those things that we have here in the masjid, just like the decorations, okay? It's actually part of the Quran, okay? So one of the ayahs in the Holy Book, in the Quran, that we are trying to put here in the masjid, and also the one that you see there is also one of the ayahs from the Holy Quran, same here as well. That's all, there's nothing else. Yeah, on that. Maybe the Sheikh also can.
Just I want to say something that these are like decorations. So sometimes you have mosques, they don't have these verses, they don't have these, what they call it, inch, or arch. So it's, yes, so these arch are not, but we are like inherit this from cultures. So this ayah is talking about the direction for the Muslims when they pray. So Allah is commanding His Prophet and all the believers to face the sacred masjid in Saudi Arabia, in Mecca. So this is the direction of Qibla that you find every Muslim everywhere is facing, and this ayah signifies this. But again, if we have a masjid without it, if we have a mosque without it, it doesn't mean that our salah is not acceptable. All these are cultural things. I think, I think Dr. talked about shaking the hands. I want to just say something very nice about this. It shows the different cultures. So I remember one time with the rental office managers, I came back from Egypt and I just got married. So she tried to shake my hand and to look me. I said, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to shake out of respect to my religion, and I appreciate that. And I put hand like this. So she thought that only shaking is what is not acceptable. She hugged me. Please don't tell my wife. I know it's live. This is not happening. Thank you very much.
So my name is Miriam, and I'm a senior at MSU. And you've heard from the faculty about their perspectives as a Muslim here. And my, my experience has been a little bit different. So as a student, it's harder, you have to make friends, and nobody wants to approach you, to be honest. And I've gotten many questions, and I've gotten weird questions, and it's like stuff that it's like sometimes it's embarrassing and sometimes it's like common sense. I've also gotten some teachers who think that I was born here, I was raised here, and I think my primary language is English. And I've gotten some of my English teachers telling me, oh, if you need help, like let me know. I know this isn't your first language, but I actually think I speak better English than I do Arabic. But yeah, I think that's it. But it's just, as a college student wearing the hijab, it's like a bit more harder, I guess. I don't know if you guys saw the news recently, but at Camino, there was a student who was bullied for wearing the hijab, and they got together, her school got together, and they just like supported her through the process, and nothing is wrong with wearing the hijab, honestly. You're just representing your religion, and I just hope someday that some people understand that.
Very, very good. Yeah, last person, I promise. And then we'll go to other questions. So you asked a big question. Everyone has their own challenges when you're a scholar or a hijabi or a doctor at the hospital.
Yeah, so the question was very loaded, so that's why you see there's a lot of people want to answer. But let me ask you a question. You guys are high school students? College students? Okay. Okay. Who is quirky among all of them? Who's weird? Who considers themselves to be weird or quirky? 1, 2. So, like, what's the thing about being weird? Just that. The thing about being weird is that everyone misunderstands it, right? You're strange, you're peculiar. And I think what the Imam is saying, what doctors say, what the sisters say, is all the same. The most challenging thing about being a Muslim in the United States is being misunderstood. Everyone misunderstands it all the time, consistently, and it can be very exhausting. It can be very traumatizing. We sometimes, as you all know, as most of you know, if you're being mainstream does not always mean doing the right thing. Sometimes certain things are popular, or certain things are just how it goes, but it's not always the right thing to do. But then when you go against the mainstream, it can be very difficult because you're strained, and that's weird. So our faith teaches us to do the right thing consistently, even when it's not convenient, even when it's not mainstream, and sometimes that makes us quirky, weird, and when it's weird, no one likes weird, right? So it's that quirkiness sometimes that makes us consistently misunderstood. And trust me, it's extremely exhausting when every day you have to explain yourself, or you have to try to I gotta dumb myself down, you know, so people don't look down on me, so people don't say things about me, so people don't insult me, so I don't lose friends, so I don't lose career opportunities, because God have mercy on me if I misunderstood, you know. So we are misunderstood consistently, every day. And I think the doctor said, what the Imam is saying, what the sister is saying, is that being consistently misunderstood, because sometimes we can be quirky, because we try to do the right thing.
Jazakumullah khair, guys. Thank you. I was going to ask something. I think, yeah, I mean, again, very little question, but I thought that a funny story on what he said. I can't think of the countless excuses I've had to say to go pray. Because, you know, you're sitting in the middle of a lecture, and you don't want to be that one person, oh yeah, I gotta go pray, so I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Or just 2 weeks ago, we were all sitting at a restaurant, like a bunch of Muslims. And so it's time to pray. So imagine that you just get up and leave the restaurant, the whole table that's sitting there. So I have to tell them, oh, we're gonna go take a phone call. It's hard because, like you said, being different is a little bit hard, and you just have to learn how to deal with it without hiding your identity. And so I think that sums up that question. You have more to say? Let's just go to well, yeah, this is fine. Any other questions? And yeah, okay, great. It was on.
Since you brought up the prayers, I'd love to hear more about the prayers and what they mean and the different ones you say through the day and stuff like that.
And I will talk a little bit about the book. I'm just
for prayers, Muslims have to pray 5 times a day, males and females. And when the kids reach to the age of maturity, this is the time it becomes mandatory upon them to pray. So we highly recommend it to pray in the mosque as you have seen us. So the Imam leads the salah and the people are following him, males and females. Sisters, they prefer to have their own place for their own comfort. But they can pray behind men, but they prefer always to be in their own place where they have more comfort. We pray 5 times a day, start by the dawn prayer, and the prayer has different units, so it has only 2 units, and then the noon prayer, 4 units, and then afternoon prayer, which is around 5:30, 4 units, and then the sunset prayer, 3 units, and then night prayer around 9, also this is 4 units. So this is the mandatory prayer, and we can pray extra prayers. So prayers consists of standing and reciting some of the verses of the Quran and making a special remembrance for God, glorification, praising God. And we touch the floor, and this is the time when we ask God for whatever we want. We show our humbleness in front of God. We pray 5 times a day. That should be preceded by symbolic ablution. We wash some parts of the body, the face, and the hands, and the arms, and the feet, or we can wipe out on the socks if we wear socks. So the prayer has a wonderful meaning, that we are giving the commitment for God, that we love you, God, and that we are here, and nothing will keep us busy. Even if I'm at work, I can pray. And by the time, the prayer times is not only for a very short time. So between noon prayer, so the prayer, and here the meaning of the prayer is to have a connection with God 5 times a day. And there is a time between the prayer and the other prayer. So if you are in the school and you are busy and you have a lecture, or you are at work, you can delay till your break time. So this is something we do it 5 times a day, and do it because we love God. So Muslims and those who love God, they always pray and they always do this on a regular basis, and they do not be away or abandon it. This is briefly about the prayers that Muslims pray.
I would like to add something to it. So that's the technical aspect, but I would like to tell you the spiritual aspect. Okay. So imagine somebody does a lot of things for you. Okay. Gives you clothes, gives you eyes, gives you hands, does everything. And what are you expecting? You're thankful to them, right? Like, oh my God, without me asking, I have been blessed with so many things, right? Without me asking.
I think we are on this side, but the feet.
I think I can talk loud. So without you asking, you're able to breathe for yourself. You don't feel any form of difficulty. You are able to see without any difficulty. Imagine you have a sand in your eye. You have so much pain. Okay? So basically, what we are advised by by God and see, I have blessed you with everything. What I need from you is be grateful to me. Okay? Be thankful to me. So, imagine, somebody, who's done a lot of things for you. You are showing the sense of happiness. What do? Maybe give them some flowers, give them some present. But God tells you, for us, you want to please me? You want to show gratitude to me? You want to show your best way of thankfulness to me? Pray for me. You want to show your best gift to me? Pray for me. So that is why we've been prescribed to pray, in a certain manner, which is 5 times. Okay? Initially we were asked to pray more than that, but in the end, the technical thing is yes, 5 times we have to pray to show our gratitude. Yes, outside that also, if you want to show more gratefulness, you can pray more. So in the end, the answer is your way of showing gratefulness and humbleness. Thank you.
Oh. As I mentioned that in the prayer, it consists of standing and then bowing down and then standing up again and then going down for prostration. What do we say in that? So, in the beginning of each salah, in each prayer, we raise our hands. And I don't know did anybody attend the first time we start with the beginning of the prayer? Did anybody attend the beginning of the prayer? I think nobody attended. So the first thing we do when we start the prayer is just we raise our hands like this. So imagine I'm just facing the direction of the sacred masjid and mosque in Mecca, and I'm raising my hand like this. So what is the meaning of this? The meaning of that I'm leaving this world behind with all the things that keep me busy. And I say Allahu Akbar, which means Allah is the greatest. Allah is greater than anything that keeps me busy from Him. Once I start, I cannot cut this prayer. Once I start, I leave this world behind and I have a good connection with my God. I start by, the first thing we say is to thank God, to praise Him. Praise be to Allah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And I ask God to help me to guide me to the straight path. This is what I always start my prayer with. And I do this in every unit. So I start with raising my hand, then some recitation of the Quran, asking God, praising God, and asking Him to guide me to the straight path and not to be misguided. And then I bow down and I glorify my God, saying Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. Glory be to my God who is the greatest. And then I raise my back and raise up my back and also praise my God. And then I go down for prostration. And as I said, this is the best time for the believers, because he feels now that he's focusing with his God. He's asking God for whatever he wants, and God promised that the person who asks him something while he's prostrating, while his forehead is touching the floor, God will answer him. So this is a good time. And the people who love God, they spend more time showing their humbleness in front of God and at the same time asking God. We do it once, and also we glorify God and say, glory be to our God, the Most High. And then we stand between the two prayers, asking God forgiveness, between the two prostrations, asking God for forgiveness, and then we go back and do the same, glorify God the Most High and ask Him for whatever we want, and then we go up for the next unit to the same, starting by praising God, asking God to guide us to the straight path, and then go down and glorifying God, and then go down for the prostration and asking God, and also go. This is actually what we do in each prayer at least 17 times a day.
I love all the questions. We are I'm flying, but it's okay. If you have one more good question, I think it's worth it. Oh, awesome. I didn't see how quick.
I guess it's like on the architecture, like why is it like got a square and then like a circle inside?
Okay, so you are so lucky, man, because I worked as a tourist guide in Egypt. So I used to take no. I studied for 2 years. And you know, Egypt, especially Cairo, they call it the city of 1,000 minarets because we have more than 1,000 historical mosques. So I used to take people and tourists, especially from the United States, I used to take them in groups and explain for them the architectural design of every mosque. Again, all these things are cultural. So who went to Turkey? So in Turkey, for example, if you go there, you will find minarets that are so high, and we call them the pencil minarets. This is the Ottoman style. In Egypt, they have different minarets. They are circles and they are bigger, and sometimes you have double minarets. This is from the area of the people who lived and ruled the Muslim world before the Ottoman. They are called the Mamluki one. So all these are cultural. So if you have a mosque without all these things, without these domes, without the minarets, without these arches, still okay, that's fine. But all these are cultural. We have the Fatimid people. And by the way, the churches in Egypt, they were affected with this design. So because you know the Fatimid people, they spent in Egypt like hundreds of years. So the churches, even in their buildings and in their architectural design, they are affected with them. So when you visit some churches in Egypt, oh, this is like a mosque because this is the normal and the common design at the time. So get back to your question. All these are cultural things, and you know, if we have a good designer and architect, we always choose the design that looks nice, that makes comfortable for everyone, because we meet here 5 times a day, so for sure we need a good place that accommodates it. I wish I answered this.
My name is Hamid Badawi. I'm an engineering professor in electrical and computer engineering, and I hate teaching with the mask, but they make us do that. The architecture piece in Islamic art, we don't do photos of humans and so on. So that's why you find that all of the things that look like here are at the end geometrical figures and all sorts of things that look geometrical at the end. Symmetry is something that people came up with. And then one other thing to the architecture is that it's also affected by the place where it is. If you look at mosques that were built in China or near China, they will look, when you see it, you realize that this is a Chinese architecture, but you see some of the features that come with the Muslims from that background. But in general, calligraphy, the way they write, the way they draw the letters, that was part of how people, how Muslims were showing art in what they do things. So that's in part some of
Yeah, so apart from the engineering aspect, there was a technical aspect too, why we have this dome and everything. We didn't have speakers back then, you know that? We didn't have speakers, all the speakers. So it was actually a way for people to hear. So by doing this design, am I clear? Perfect, right?
No, look, I wanna make it practical. So I'm gonna say it now without the mic, and you will watch it. Now, I'm not gonna see you. All the mics are off. I'm gonna start the prayer because some of the prayers they are secret and some of them are not. So the more I get closer to the sidewalk, the more higher it's going to be.
Yes.
But we need quietness because quietness will make a difference.
All right.
Our gentleman, you know, was walking there. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. See the difference?
See the difference? You felt that? So that was also one of the reasons for the design. So it was just not some whims and fancy and you came up with the design. No, there was, when we did something, cultural aspect, geometry, you know, like we Muslim scholars, people if you go back, came up with so many inventions, okay, whether it comes to astronomy, whether it comes to medicine, whether it comes to medical instruments, whether it comes to construction, okay, there was a lot of physics behind it as well, okay, and where did we learn this from? It was actually from nature. You know, because Islam, you know, God tells us, look around you. You have around you things that will teach you. So when you start looking around things, in nature, in plants, you will learn so many things. So this is where we learn a lot of things. But we don't want to take too much of your time. We want you to explore the mosque. Okay, we want you to,
Yeah,
like,
we'll split up the
yeah.
I have one more thing. I know it's time.
But before one more thing I just want to add, before I end, I want to let you know that we Muslims, okay, we are as human as you are. We have the same blood flowing in us, just like how you are. We are not perfect, okay? We do make mistakes too, okay? But please, you are not supposed to judge us by an individual, okay? Because we are not perfect, okay? You might think, oh my God, see, this guy is preaching something and he does something. Because in the end, we are as human as you. We are as susceptible to corruption. We are as susceptible to mistakes like anybody, like you guys. But we try. We try, we repent to God, we ask God to forgive us and keep us guided, okay? So, if you see somebody who is not doing the right thing, maybe he's just not following it the right way. So if you have any questions, concerns, I would personally advise you to, read the Quran, the teaching of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That will give you a better idea, because we are not perfect. But the Quran we believe is perfect, and the teaching of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is perfect. So that is going to be your, guidebook. All right, thank you so much.
On the last note, on the being like the role model of Islam, I can attest to that. Because when you're the only Muslim in your class, and most of me and my Muslim friends, we're not afraid to say, oh yeah, I'm a Muslim, this is my name. So that if you do something wrong, growing up I was like one, if not like a handful of Muslims, most of my friends knew. So they thought Islam was just that. Whatever I did wrong became the definition of Islam. So whenever I would do something wrong, and I did, I would make it clear to them, this is me as a person, not me as a Muslim, or me as a... And I think most of my other friends and even the professors can attest. On the early architecture thing, as overpopulated and overpolluted Cairo is, it is a beautiful epicenter of Islamic history. When I was there over the summer, if you go into the old mosques, you can still hear it. They don't even use mics. They will just do the adhan that way, or call to prayer, or pray that way. And if you're on a hill over it, that's all you see is minarets for miles. It's very beautiful. Any other questions? I mean, we got time. If you have a question, ask.
You talked about Islam, but also teach you how we greet in Arabic. So, Assalamu alaikum. Just say, try to practice. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. I teach workshop at the university teach basic Arabic. So we start always teaching them how to teach them how to greet in Arabic. Assalamu alaikum. And the Quran, of course, is written in Arabic language. Thank you.